Tell us about yourself. Briefly describe your professional interests and experiences.
So my name is Kara, and I have a huge heart for serving others in whatever area of my life that means, and I think that I can do that exceptionally well in the medical field. I think it's very important to have a nurse that is able to respect patients, serve them well, and greet them with a friendly face, and I think that I can offer all of those things. I've had experiences in the medical field as working as a medical scribe in the ER, and just being around that environment just felt like home to me, and I feel like I could really fit in, and this is definitely my calling. I am very kind, and I like to see the positive things in life, and that doesn't necessarily make me ignorant. I think that's just something that's very unique about me, and I just like to be a true team player and encourage those that are working alongside me.
Where do you see yourself in your career in 2 to 3 years, and what are your short-term career goals?
I definitely see myself in probably 3 years going back to nurse practitioner school. That is just something that has been a huge aspiration for me, and I want to be able to push myself and further my education because I know that I can do it, and I want to be a nurse for a little bit just so I can get the feel of how to have the best patient nurse relationship and what all that means, and then go back to school and then be able to do that more.
What previous job was the most satisfying and why?
So like I said before, I was a medical scribe in the ER, so that meant that I was taking notes for the physicians and documenting all of their patient interactions. That was very satisfying for me because it was my first job in the medical field, and I knew that I wanted to work in the medical field, but I didn't know what that meant in what area. So being exposed to it, it really just set in me that this is what I'm supposed to do, and it just drove me to pursue my passion further and go to nursing school. And I got to be exposed to the medical terminology because it's a completely different language, and the doctors that I worked for encouraged me and they taught me so much, and I got to see so many things. So I think that it just really allowed me to allowed my career to take off, like to go to nursing school and have this experience and know that this is what I'm supposed to do, and just be completely motivated to finish nursing school and become an RN.
Please describe a situation that required you to complete a number of things at the same time. How did you decide what was most important, and what was the result?
So in my job as a medical scribe, I had to document on up to 25 patients at one time. So I had to be completely organized. I would keep a note on the side for each patient and what I needed to document and put into their note. And everything. So I had to remain very accurate and organized and document on the right patient in the right place and say the right thing. So a lot of times it would become very overwhelming, but I had to be super organized. And when things, sometimes like a level 1 trauma would come in, and I would have to document their entire chart because sometimes they would pass away or sometimes they would be transferred to a different area. And I had to finish our chart before I could move on to the next thing. So having to delegate my time and know and understand what was more important than other things that weren't necessarily as severe or important could wait, and I could put them on hold. But knowing that I had to go back and do those things and finish those things by my little note kept me very organized.
Tell us about a situation in which you had to speak up or be assertive in order to advocate for a patient or person or idea in order to get an important point across.
When I was in my J2 semester, I was on the med-surg floor, and unfortunately I was paired with a nurse who didn't really care about her job and was obviously neglecting her patients. It was unfortunate, but also it allowed a very big learning opportunity for me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone as a novice J2 nursing student. It pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it made me see the important things throughout the day. My nurse said that she wasn't going to discharge any patients, even though they had discharge orders that morning. She wasn't going to discharge anybody because she didn't want to get a new admit. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a long day. One of the patients was to be discharged, and they wanted her to eat before she left because her diet changed from a full liquid diet to a semi-solid diet. So they wanted to see if she was able to tolerate that before she could go home. My nurse did not care. I did not know what to do necessarily. The doctor had just seen her and was like, she needs to eat before she goes home. I don't know what my nurse was doing. She was just not paying attention. So I had to go to the charge nurse and ask, what can I do? And they were like, well, we'll figure it out. Lunch had already passed. It was almost 3 o'clock, and I was like, this lady is starving. I asked the charge nurse again. She seemed a little kind of annoyed, and I was like, okay, what is the nutrition number? I will handle this myself. I took it upon myself to find out the nutrition number, call them, get a new tray for this patient, was able to walk her in the meantime before she got her food, and then she was able to eat, she tolerated it, and then she was able to go home, which is ultimately the goal for the day. So I had to advocate for this patient because the nurse was not taking it seriously or really caring about it, and things need to be done, and I took the initiative to do it myself. Okay. Great.